Welcome, welcome everybody. How are you doing today? It's so very nice to have you here, and I really hope that all of you are doing well. I'm doing well myself and still staying at home as much as possible. So, as we find ourselves in this very unique moment in time, maybe in this once in a lifetime opportunity, when the profound slowing down in the world is facing us with fear, anxiety, sensitivity to our health, concerns about our physical survival, general uncertainty. And at the same time, we are also faced with an amazing opportunity, both individually and collectively, an opportunity for change, an opportunity to refocus our lives and to commit even more to presence, to inquiry, to commit even more to awakening, embodiment, and freedom. It is a very unique moment in time as everybody on the planet right now is experiencing the consequences of this. I was just speaking about this in our last call in our 3-week intensive, as I spoke about karma, destiny, how unique that is, that everybody is experiencing a consequence of this. And how that creates an amazing opportunity for transformation, not just individually, but collectively, globally on the planet. So I'm also curious about how you are experiencing this moment, how you are experiencing this moment in time, both on the level of challenge, but also on the level of change, on the level of opportunity, on the level of, how your life is changing, refocusing. How are you finding that deeper connection to presence and freedom? And I have been speaking about this in our programs, and I will continue speaking about this and inviting that level of sharing and awareness, introspection for you as well. And we have some new programs coming up this Sunday, a day-long intensive for returning students, and in May, another 3-week program that is open to everybody. And I want to say about this day-long intensive for returning students that what I want to focus on this time is on strengthening our inquiry skills, on realizing that uncompromising clarity that comes with discrimination, that comes with recognizing past for what it really is, and on strengthening our commitment to noticing sensations. Because as we know by now, patterns, which is everything that arises, or so many things that arise for us right now, patterns thrive on repetition. And it is inquiry that stops that repetition. It is inquiry that stops that outgoing movement of the mind. And we can face what arises here with kindness and tenderness. And kindness and tenderness, that's another thing I have been speaking about lately. Kindness and tenderness are so necessary for practice always, but especially right now. Kindness, tenderness. Without kindness, we can't really be here with what is. When there's no kindness, we are just not able to quite penetrate through or be present to the arising past. And of course, kindness, tenderness, so often it's so much easier to be kind and tender towards others. Of course, to a certain degree, right, relationally, but still, it's so much easier to be kind, friendly, tender to somebody else, not so easy to be kind and tender to your own experience. And that is so necessary now. It's necessary always, but especially now. Because tenderness, kindness penetrates through the past. And then we can really be here. We can really be here with what is. So in this upcoming day-long intensive, I will also be speaking about how to grow trust in presence, which really is, again, a matter of repetition, right? A matter of coming into presence over and over and over and over again, and coming to presence no matter what the circumstances are. Just coming to presence. That's how we grow trust. We also grow trust in presence when we actually follow what arises here, when we follow what arises in your heart rather than what the mind is telling us. I will also be speaking about obstacles to practice, obstacles to awakening, and especially now, what are obstacles to awakening? And about this very unique opportunity for freedom now. That opportunity is always here, that invitation is always here, but right now it is so much more visible. And freedom is the true purpose of our life. And right now we have that opportunity to truly realize that. Somebody was speaking about this in this last intensive. We can still believe that, this is important or that is important, in subtle ways or in not so subtle ways, until we realize, bottom line, the reason why we are here is freedom. That's why we are here. And that's what we can realize. That's what we can realize right now. So I want to invite you to participate in this day-long intensive and in our upcoming 3-week program. I want to invite you to join me. This is a very unique time, a very unique opportunity, and I want us to use this opportunity well and to use it together.